Right now, I'm feeling lonely, I'm feeling empty, yet everyone is all around me. Oh, why can't I be like them? Can't I truly be myself? Wish that everything was so different. Wish that everyone could accept the real me. I have tried to hide it all this time, but it's killing me inside. Nobody knows who I really am. So I keep on crying, and I keep crying, crying, crying. Yes, I keep crying, crying, crying. And I keep crying, crying, crying. Yes, I keep crying. Yeah, it's a cry from the closet. Cry from the closet. Hi, folks out there. Welcome to the Victor Mukasa show. It is the Sunday Vibe. Sunday Vibe is a new one that will be coming to you every Sunday at about this time here where I am. It is 9:44 p.m. in Maryland, USA, and it is still the 20th of November 2021. A very special day in the transgender community, a day on which transgender people and their supporters, allies, actually remember all those who have died, who have been murdered because of transphobia, and or who have died because the systems have discriminated against them or failed them because of transphobia. So, as I know that there are people watching on YouTube, welcome to you. Welcome to those on Facebook here on my profile page and on the Victor Mukasa Show page. Welcome to all those listening in from the podcast on Anchor. Please enjoy this song by Brian Bryant as we wait for others to show up. It is Transgender Day of Remembrance. My family, my leaders, and everyone all around me. They people like me, people who are not like them. Wish that everything was so different. Wish that all of them could understand the real me. I have tried to hide it all this time, but it's killing me. And this song that is called A Cry from the Closet is also a dedication to all those transgender people, especially the youth, who are suffering silently with no support from family, no support from their communities, no support from, your leaders. Some of you still struggling with coming out as transgender. This is to encourage you. I am transgender and I am accessible to all those who are looking for somebody to speak to all those who are in the closet about their gender identity. Yes, because I know so many who had to hide who they really were during their life. This is for you. Inside, nobody knows who I really am. So I keep on crying, and I keep crying. Yes, I keep crying, and I keep crying. Yes, I keep crying. Yeah, it's a cry from the closet. Cry from the closet. take it anymore. I'm tired living a lie. And now it's time for me to show you the real me. I cannot hide it anymore. It's been killing me inside. Nobody knew who I really am. So I'm tired of crying. Yes, I am tired, tired, tired. Yes, I am tired, tired of crying. And I am tired, tired, tired. Yes, I am tired, tired of crying from
In the closet.
Closet, closet, oh yeah, oh yeah, closet.
My job. Yes, welcome back. And back to the Sunday vibe. Today, as I said earlier on, we are going to be chatting, chit chat about the International Transgender Day of Remembrance, which is a very special day again in the transgender community and to the supporters of the transgender community across the world. It is a day, I think, this year makes 22 years of observing this day, a day that was established in 1999. It's 22 years now when the Transgender Day or International Transgender Day of Remembrance is observed across the world. It is observed everywhere, including in Africa. In Africa, where there is denial about the existence of transgender people, but in reality, so many transgender people in every country on the continent. And that song was a dedication to all those trans people, especially in Africa and other countries where it requires you to hide who you are. And, you have no way of coming out of the closet and, just declaring yourself and, free and coming out as transgender or gender non-conforming. Some people are gender non-conforming, don't may not necessarily identify as transgender, but because they defy gender norms. This is a song to you for all the suffering that you go through. Someday we will all be able to just be who we are, and the world will be about humans, just because we are humans. So on this day, before we go very far, as I said, it's remembering those who have been murdered because of their gender identity. Many people have been documented as murdered, but very many have not even been reported as having been murdered of their gender identity. So many hate crimes against transgender people across the world, and so many people have lost their lives because of that and because of being who they are. Those listeners and viewers who have never come across transgender or even do not know what transgender is, what gender identity is, we will be doing Trans Visibility Week, the week where we talk about transgender issues and share our stories with the world, is going to continue here at the Victor Mukasa Show, and we will be featuring different transgender people, activists, and lay citizens of Africa. We'll be featuring them. They'll be telling their stories. Personal stories about their journeys as transgender people. But today, on this special day, we will remember those who have died because of transphobia, murdered or disappointed or betrayed by the systems in our countries in Africa. And we just observe a moment of silence just to remember those who have died in our lives because of transphobia. And may their souls rest in peace and power and love. Now, for me, this day is more than just murder of transgender people, like physical murder and people stopping to breathe because they have been killed. It is, for me, it's not just about people who, you know, who have just been killed simply because they defy gender norms, because because of their gender identity. As a trans person, growing up as trans person in Uganda, in Africa, and even here, just as an adult here where I am in the United States, I find myself losing bits of my life almost every day. And for me, this day, on top of remembering all those that we have lost in that violent manner, I also remember everything we have lost as transgender people, as gender non-conforming people. For me, I'd like to remember and hold all those who have lost their dignity, who have lost their families, who have lost their dreams because of transphobia. You know, when I was growing up, I was punished a lot for being transgender, for not behaving like a girl, because I was expected to behave like a girl. And I didn't know, even at such a young age, what the difference was between behaving like a boy or a girl. I just knew how to be me. And I was punished many times for, the ways in which I presented myself and expressed myself. And I believe when I remember some of those things, there are so many things that I lost as a young adult, and a young adult being punished for being, for identifying as a boy at such a young age, and playing as a boy and dressing or wanting to dress as a boy. It plays with your psyche. It does something to you. It kills something. And there's so many young people across the world that are going through this. It means that bits of their lives are being lost. We've lost families simply because we are transgender. There's this story I would like to share with you. Back home in Uganda, way back, probably a decade and a half ago, probably 2 decades, a family member once, I went to see a family member one time, and this person told me that, you know what, you are a disgrace to our family. Look at you. Just look at you. You're all looking like a boy. And, I was just watching her as she said this. And then the one thing that she said that hurt me so much was that imagine you using dad's name, Mukasa. You are embarrassing our father. It is a disgrace that you still use dad's name and you look like that. She was looking at me as if, I was some filthy thing. But just because I was expressing myself the way I felt within me. And I was, dressed like a boy, and I behaved that way. And it disturbed her so much that she said that I was disgracing our father. And I remember one time I was testifying at a committee at the UN in Geneva, and I made a speech and I said that transgender people in Africa are deader than the dead. This is what I was referring to. That I was being punished for using my father's name, who was dead, and at the same time, expressing myself as a transgender young person. And I felt that I was deader than my dead father. And this shows you what we have lost as transgender people along the way. Bits of us are killed. At that point, my pride in my family, in the use of my father's name, was killed. It was killed because it meant that my dead father at that point, may he rest in peace, was more important than me who was alive, just because I identified as transgender. And in the same way, dignity is all lost for transgender people. There is a time also that I was, and this is a story that touched me so much. I was sent on a mission by an organization that I worked for at that time, the International Gay and Lesbian Human Rights Commission. Right now, it's Outright Action International. The organization sent me to Tanzania to do, some research for the organization there, as I was working on East Africa. And when I met the activists on that particular day, the activists told me that something horrible had just happened in Tanzania, that a trans woman's body, her remains, were brought back home in one of the villages. Somebody that they knew, somebody that they had helped as an organization. They told me that it was so sad that when the body arrived, the family and the elders in the village opened the casket so that they can be sure that they're actually going to bury their own child. And then there she was, the diva, laying in the casket with long hair and, breasts. And then there was a very big argument about what they were seeing. And the elders and family agreed together collectively that the hair be chopped off and the chest be flattened by cutting off the breasts, because they had a son and they had brought back a daughter to them. That the son they had did not have long hair, the son they had did not have breasts. Just imagine, even in death, there is no dignity for some of us if we died and were taken back to our ancestral homes. I believe these are all things that we should be remembering on Transgender Day of Remembrance. That beyond the murders, it is important for us to remember those bits of our lives that have been killed. There's so many people, who have failed to access health services simply because they are transgender. There are many illnesses that we have developed simply because we are so afraid to go to hospitals that will find out that we are a different sex when we undress for a checkup, and then will start to mock us. Many transgender people say, I would rather stay at home. I would rather suppress this with herbs. I would rather suppress this with this and that, some home therapy, which in many times does not actually solve your health or medical problem. So on this day, Transgender Day of Remembrance, it is important for us to remember the things that we have lost, bits of our lives that we have lost along the way. Every day, even here in the US, moments come and I feel my dignity stripped off of me. And I feel that I am not enough because of the treatment. Before I started taking my hormones, before I started hormonal therapy, I had a smaller voice, a higher voice, and very smooth face. And just entering a shop, and I say hi, and then they say, they would welcome me and say, hey, hello, hello, sir, and then I'll say hi, and then they'll be like, oh, sorry, ma'am, are you a man or a woman? At that moment, I lose something. At that moment, I feel empty. At that moment, I feel worthless. At that moment, I feel like nothing. And at that moment, I am dying inside. Today, I want to remember and encourage all those that are going through the same things. All those who are struggling every day to just survive in spaces as transgender people, as people who are conforming, gender non-conforming, all those who are ridiculed, all those who are abused, even verbally and emotionally, because of your gender identity and or expression. I hold you today, and I want to recognize you today, and I want to say that you are very important in this world, that you are as human as they are, and that you have family, may not be blood, but family like me. It is important for us to remember always that we are not alone. It is important for us to hold the hands or the hand of the other trans person who is not able to pass or who is, suffering everywhere they go because of how they express or present or identify. It is very important to look out for each other. You see a lot of people pass, and once they pass, they cease, they leave the trans bit out because they are finally comfortable in that space. And that is a very, very good thing because you are passing. But I vowed all my life that even if I grew a beard that sweeps the ground and a voice as deep as, I don't know, Jim Reeves, or, like I passed everywhere that I go, I vowed to introduce myself as transgender. And sometimes people don't even have to ask, but I'm dying to tell them that I am transgender. Not because I want to brag about my gender identity. No, it is because I've decided to use my life and my testimony to open the eyes of many. Because some of this violence that we go through, this abuse, it is all transphobia. But sometimes it's fear of trans people, and sometimes it's that ignorance about transgender issues. And the more we educate the people around us about gender identity and transgender issues, the more acceptance, however tiny, we bring towards transgender communities across the world. It's not happening tomorrow that we will be accepted just the way we are. But you know what? If every day we make it a point to educate somebody, then we have done a great job. We don't have to sue, open up, suit cases in courts for us to be declared human and full humans and citizens of any country. But we can actually do a lot to change our communities every day, as long as you find it safe for you to do what you can do in that moment. I have had backlash before because of introducing myself as transgender after I have passed as a man. Everybody receives you as a man. It's like, hey, so everything. I say, yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm so glad that this space actually has accepted a transgender person like me. I find a way of bringing it in so that those who don't know many times will ask, what do you mean a transgender person? And then that is a way that I start. It's like, how I start talking about it. And every moment I get to talk about transgender issues, I actually do, because a lot of people are ignorant, and a lot of deaths and other violations and abuses have come as a result of ignorance. So much as we have lost, bits of our lives to transphobia and homophobia, we still stand and we should still rise up. We should still rise and defend us and others and speak up for us and others until we or our children or our grandchildren, generations to come, will be accepted in this world. I say that we are victims of homophobia and transphobia because a lot of transgender people actually are seen as the face of homosexual communities in their countries. Very rarely in Africa do they find a trans person and actually call them a trans person. They will say that is a homosexual, that is a gay. And if there is a punishment for the gay, then that transgender person is going to get it. So it is both homophobia and transphobia that we suffer, being the face in many cases of the face of, LGBT. So, hey, Razi, my comrade, I greet you, and also folks from Block 13. I see you, and I greet you, and I greet all the transgender women and men in Kakuma refugee camp. The struggle continues. We would say a luta continua. I also see a very close person to me there, Lucky. I greet you too. And Regina, Marcus asked me, wait, is it really Sunday? Oh, yeah, it is me who is crazy, actually. I was thinking about Sunday in Africa, but it is still Saturday here in the United States. Yeah, my spirit lives in Africa, my body lives in the United States. Yes, Marcus, that is why I got so confused about the day where my spirit is. It is already Sunday. So, among other things that we have lost as transgender people, one last thing that I wanted to mention is the history and our contributions to the LGBTIQ plus liberation struggles. If you followed history very well in Africa, a lot of LGBT organizations in Africa were founded by transgender people. In fact, I have contributed to the founding of so many organizations, even though many times I'm registered as the lesbian. And so another thing that I want us to hold today is the fact that we have made, as transgender people, we have made huge contributions to the LGBTQ plus human rights struggles in Africa. And many times when we feel that, our contributions have been erased or misdocumented, history has kind of changed to erase you as a trans person who was there. It is a loss. It is like another death. And that is why I say that on this day, it is more than just the loss of our lives, but also bits of our lives. Bits of our lives, bits of our work, bits of our contributions to our organizations or our communities. Because you're transgender, then it ceases to be sometimes your contribution. It ceases to be something that you have done. A lot of transgender people are fasts. Fast. They were the first to do this. They were the first to do this. They were the first to do this on the continent in Africa. But a lot of that history has been discarded or has been, changed and will not actually elevate the fact that these were transgender people. So that I feel that at a political level, that is a loss And another thing that we remember what is happening to this gadget of mine. Another thing that we remember today. But again, I say that even if transphobia has robbed us of our lives and a lot other things, still we rise. Cause for Uganda, I salute you. Still we rise. Razi, still we rise. Trans people across Africa and in the diaspora, still we rise. Wherever we are, even when our friends are murdered, still we rise. When in jail and we are being put in cells as trans men with women, still we rise. In the villages where we live, when they ridicule us and laugh at us, still we rise. When we try to make families, build families, and we are seen as thieves, still we rise. We are human beings. And no matter what anybody else thinks, still we rise. May those who have departed because of transphobia rest in eternal peace and power. May those of us who are still alive keep rising, keep standing for the truth, keep standing for who we are, keep standing and speaking for those who have been silenced or have no voice. May those of us who are in situations where we can speak up keep speaking up. May we reduce the numbers of deaths each year of transgender people by continuing to rise. Transgender people, I thank you for standing up for yourselves. Even when you say nothing, you are brave to go out expressing yourself in the real way that you are. Supporters and allies of transgender people, I salute you all. And I thank you for standing up for the truth and for humanity, for we are humans. On this International Transgender Day of Remembrance, and indeed what I called Sunday vibes in Africa, Saturday vibes here in the US, it is the beginning, again, on this channel, of interviews and storytelling from transgender people from Africa and the diaspora about their journeys as transgender people. I thank you all for showing up for this vibe. And yes, cause Uganda. Yes, let us chat after the vibes. Thank you for tuning in. And here on the Victor Mukasa show, there are always shows featuring different issues in Africa. We've been covering a lot of LGBTQ plus refugee issues in Kakuma camp. We will continue to show that. We'll also be covering other issues from other parts of Africa on the podcast, which started in April 2020. we have covered various issues. And that is where we started our series, Lest We Forget, where we host human rights defenders, LGBTQ plus human rights defenders who have contributed tremendously to the human rights struggles in Africa. We also talk about trans issues there. Tune in to the Victor Mukasa Show podcast on Anchor. You can also find that podcast on Spotify. It's been here since 2020, April 2020, and we are pushing it even further. For those of you who are lucky to be here today, I would also like to announce that in January we will be having the Afro Kuchu Radio. This radio is also part of the Victor Mukasa Media. That radio is already on air, playing liberation music. It is the Afro Kuchu Radio, which you can find. It is internet radio. And in January 2022, we will be launching our programming on that radio. The Victor Mukasa Media is looking at giving everybody a chance to express themselves. The spaces that we have can only accommodate only a few of us, only a few of us. But here virtually, all of us can be accommodated. And that is what I am looking at doing, to create those spaces where we can all express ourselves freely and safely and whenever we want. So that will be the Afro Kuchu Radio, which is already on air, internet radio, and also the Victor Mukasa Show podcast, which has been playing since April 2020. We have had a series on the Victor Mukasa Show on Facebook and YouTube. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, because a lot that is queer and African is coming to your screens, your phones, your computers, and your TVs and your radios. So thank you so much for being here. And again, I say that was a casual one for today. I love you all. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. And I will leave you with Brian's Steel with I don't know if any of you enjoyed the song A Cry from the Closet. Yes, but
I tried my best just to be a
Students with
A Cry
ADHD save 10 hours
from the
studying
Closet.
with
Sorry,
no
this one I
intervention.
got from
But
the
no,
YouTube,
by all
so
means,
it
go
starts
ahead,
off with
skip
all
the
these
ad, save a
adverts,
few
but
seconds.
this song is what I left for all trans people who are struggling to come out as trans.
right now. I'm feeling lonely.
Have a good weekend.
I'm feeling empty, yet everyone is all around me. Oh, why can't I be like them? Can't I truly be myself? Wish that everything was so different. Wish that everyone could accept the real me. I have tried to hide it all this time, but it's killing me inside. Nobody knows who I really am. So I keep on crying, and I keep crying, crying, crying. Yes, I keep crying, 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 and I keep crying, crying.
Yes, this song is by Brio Bryans, stage name Brio Bryans, real name Brian Nkoyoyo, an activist from Uganda, that I'm very proud of and very fond of, currently based in Toronto, Canada. In Canada, he has allowed us to use most of his activism songs free of charge. Thank you, Brian.
Crying, crying, yes, I keep crying. Yeah, it's a cry from the closet. Cry from the closet. family, my leaders, and everyone all around me. They hate people like me, people who are not like them. Wish that everything was so different. Wish that all of them could understand the real me. I have tried to hide it all this time, but it's killing me inside. Nobody knows who I really am. So I keep on crying, and I keep crying, crying, crying. Yes, I keep crying, crying, crying. And I keep crying, crying, crying. Yes, I keep crying, and it's a cry from the closet. Cry from the closet. You keep putting me down with all those hateful words you say. But now it's time for me to stand up on my 2 feet. I cannot take it anymore. I'm tired living a lie. And now it's time for me to show you the real me. I cannot hide it anymore. It's been killing me inside. Nobody knew who I really am. So I'm tired of crying. Yes, I am tired. Yes, I'm tired.
And I am tired.
Yes, I am tired
You
of crying
crying
from
from
the
the
closet.
closet.
Closet, oh yeah, closet.
Oh yeah.
Scotland
Have a
favorite,
good night,
and
friends.
I've been working on it for-
Good morning, friends. Good day, friends. Aluta continua, and still transgender people, we rise.